Fox 5 News at 10 starts right now.
And happening right now, several top U.S. House Democrats demand a federal investigation of the Colonial pipeline.
The fire is still burning 3 days after that deadly gas explosion in Helena, Alabama. We'll have that story in just a minute. But first tonight, a Fox 5 exclusive. Police say he was preying on women while pretending to be a security guard.
Well, tonight, Sandy Springs police are on the lookout for a man who groped a woman, then cut her with a knife. Investigators think he lied about being security to catch her off guard.
Well, Fox 5's Jacqueline Schultz joins us now live. And Jacqueline, this attack happened in a very busy area.
And that's what's so surprising, guys, is that a lot of people around this area on Hammond Drive are walking to work, to their offices, or to shopping centers around there. Now, this did happen very early in the morning. It was still dark outside, and police say a man approached a woman. He said he was a security guard, but then he ambushed her and groped her.
Don't talk to strangers, no matter what they tell you.
Around this stretch of Hammond Drive, plenty of people walk to their offices or stores at the local shopping center. Sandy Springs police say a stranger preyed on a woman walking through this complex alone very early in the morning.
I've been working here about 12 years. I don't know why it happened like that.
Oh my God, that's awful.
Police say in their report, as the woman walked through this office complex and sat on the sidewalk, a man approached her and identified himself as a security guard. Police say he then groped her, forced himself on her, and she fought back. Detectives say he whipped out a switchblade and cut her hand and her arm. She ran away and flagged down people for help.
Sad. You can't trust, you don't know who to trust.
Women who walk to work in stores around the area say their guard would go down if someone told them they were a security guard.
Just come to you, talk to you, just walk away.
But you have to be, more careful.
Now these women tell me they'll keep walking if someone approaches them.
At least I will be, I promise you, I will be.
Now, at this point, police didn't have a very good description of a man. He was described as a person with light facial hair, with jeans with holes in them. Anyone with any information, please call Sandy Springs Police, Russ.
All right, Jacqueline, thanks. Well, this just in tonight, a push for a federal investigation into Colonial pipeline after Monday's deadly gas explosion in Alabama.
The House Democrats sent a letter to the federal transportation secretary today. They're requesting a full review, pointing out that this is the third major incident on Colonial's system in just 1 year's time. The damaged pipeline, which runs from the Gulf Coast to New York City, provides almost 40% of the region's gasoline. The Georgia-based operator says it hopes to restart the gas line as early as this weekend, but estimates as much as 168,000 gallons of gasoline could have burned, spilled, or evaporated after the explosion and fire. Police have released the name of the victim and a motive in a fatal shooting out of Union City.
Officers say they were called to the Hidden Lakes apartments on Morgan Road after 5 o'clock last night. They say they found the man dead in a crashed car. He had been shot several times. Late this afternoon, investigators identified that man as 21-year-old DeMonta Watkins. They say he was robbed and then gunned down. According to officials, a 20-year-old passenger in the car was treated for life-threatening injuries. We turn now to a Fox 5 News alert. A person of interest is now a suspect in the murder of an East Atlanta apartment resident.
Well, police say this man broke into the apartment at the Alexan EAV Monday. He shot and killed 30-year-old Alex Newton, then casually walked away like nothing ever happened. Investigators think the motive was burglary, and it's not the first time that apartment has been burglarized.
Well, Fox 5's Denise Dillon joins us now live from East Atlanta. And Denise, worried residents there went to the apartment manager tonight, right?
Yeah, there was a big meeting tonight. It lasted about 2 hours between residents, management, and police. They were here to talk about this case and safety in general.
This is about Alex. Alex's life was taken, and it could have been any of our lives, and we realize that, so it's sobering.
Residents of the Alexan EAV apartment complex on Metropolitan Avenue say they won't rest until the man who shot one of their neighbors is caught. Atlanta police say Monday afternoon, 30-year-old Alex Newton came home shortly after noon. He walked into his fourth-floor apartment and walked in on an intruder.
All of a sudden I heard boom, boom, boom.
Police say the intruder shot Alex and took off running. Police now say this man, caught on surveillance video, is their prime suspect, and they're trying to figure out who he is.
And I believe, and the investigator believes, that we're going to find out who did this.
There have been a number of burglaries in recent weeks, and now, after this deadly shooting, some of the residents say they want to move. Residents met with management Wednesday night demanding they up the security.
Our security cameras, 24-hour officers here, as well as a few other things that we asked for. So we're still pressing them, pushing, but we'll see tomorrow and, give them a chance to respond.
It helped ease some minds, but it will never be enough to mend the broken hearts over the loss of a friend, a neighbor.
We're in this together. This community's in this together, and we're going to get some justice, we're going to get some security, and we're going to find some peace.
Alex's friends and family have raised money for a Crime Stoppers reward. In less than 8 hours, they raised more than $20,000. So many people contributing to get this guy off the streets. Reporting live in Southeast Atlanta, Denise Dillon, Fox 5 News.
Thank you, Denise. Well, now to a Fox 5 News alert. Atlanta police working to identify the people in this video. Take a look. They call them persons of interest in a Northwest Atlanta homicide. Officers were called to a house on Marcone Street on October 28th, and that's where they found a man shot in the face. They're asking anyone with information to contact Crime Stoppers. And Clayton County Police continue to search for the gunman in the death of a beloved high school athlete and student.
It was a heartbreaking discovery this morning for the family of Cedric Clark. Clark's own brother found him just a short distance from his home in Riverdale. He says Clark had left last night to hang out with some friends and never came home. Clayton County Police continue to investigate and urge anyone with information to come forward.
This is very troubling. Any child or adult of any age, it's a concern, and we're going to initiate all our resources to bring it to a conclusion.
Cedric was a junior at Charles Drew High School. He was involved in football, basketball, and junior ROTC.
Gwinnett County Police working to identify a body found in grass on the side of a road in unincorporated Snellville. A worker made that discovery this morning before 9 at Lenora Church Road and Lenora Road. Investigators say the body belonged to a man. At this point, they haven't released a name or an age. Officers tell us they're trying to determine whether the man was killed at that location or if his body was dumped there.
Well, 9 years and still no leads. If you've lived in the Atlanta area for a while, then you've probably heard the name Justin Gaines. He was just 18 years old when he disappeared from the parking lot of Wild Bill's in Gwinnett County back in November of 2007. At the time of his disappearance, Gaines was a freshman at the Oconee campus of Gainesville College in Athens. Now, over the years, police have followed countless tips, including one last year that resulted in a 3-day search of the High Shoals area near the Appalachie River. Well, nothing was ever found, and the person who tipped off police was eventually charged with making false statements in that case. Despite numerous setbacks, Justin Gaines' family continues their efforts, begging for anyone with information to please come forward.
Well, we turn now to the weather. It was a cloudy day with slightly cooler temperatures.
That was a bit of a break, and sounds like some cooler temperatures still are on the way, but we got to wait just a day. Is that the deal?
Just a day, about 24 hours, and the front's going to move on through and bring us some fall-like temperatures finally, because it feels not like fall out there tonight. Look at those temperatures now in the mid and upper 60s in many areas. That 69 is actually warmer than the average high temperature you would find on November the 2nd. It has cooled to 55 in Blairsville, 63 in Carrollton, 64 over in Athens. We've got a few clouds out there, and we expect temperatures, check this out, to kind of hang in the 60s in most areas. We roll on through early tomorrow morning, especially here in town, low 60s, and then tomorrow up through the 70s, knocking on the door of 80 very quickly by the afternoon. In fact, I'm forecasting 81 for Atlanta. That's 1 degree away from the all-time record high. And you see some low to mid 80s down here on the south side. So this is our last day in the 80s before we see some cooler air start spilling in here, thanks to a front. Now, I wish this front up here to our northwest would bring us a whole lot in the way of any precipitation, but that's not going to happen. It's going to come through, maybe a shower or two in extreme northwest Georgia, but that's just going to be brief, going to be light. Don't get all excited about it. It's not anything what we need, certainly. And then it's going to be cool and breezy behind the front. You're going to notice the big-time drop in the temperatures. Check this out now as we take you through the next several days. 81 on Thursday, near the record high of 82. 74 on Friday, then in the upper 60s on Saturday. low 70s in here till early next week. So at least that's cooler than the 80s we've experienced this week. We'll talk more about that coming up after the World Series.
All right, David. Well, a man is in custody tonight after investigators say he murdered 2 police officers in Iowa.
Police say the suspect flagged an officer down and turned himself in. Officials say Officer Justin Martin and Sergeant Anthony Bamino were both fatally shot overnight. Those officers came under fire as they sat in their patrol cars about 2 miles away from each other, according to police. Law enforcement officers tell us they took suspect Scott Michael Green into custody without incident.
He flagged down an employee of the DNR, presented his ID to that employee, and asked that employee call 911. There definitely wasn't an opportunity for these officers to defend themselves or respond to the attack.
The men and women in law enforcement deserve our gratitude and our respect, but more than that, they deserve our support.
Now, this is the second major tragedy to hit Des Moines police this year. 2 of their officers died in March when they were hit by a wrong-way drunk driver.
Well, investigators say a suspect crashed his car into a number of police cruisers this morning before leading them on a chase down Old National Highway in South Fulton County. Officers opened fire on the fleeing suspect who reportedly tried to pin a Fulton County police officer with his car. The suspect was eventually captured and transported to Grady Hospital. Investigators spent the afternoon collecting evidence.
Well, new at 10 tonight, a Gwinnett County Sheriff's deputy turned in his resignation this afternoon as he was hauled into jail. And deputies with the Gwinnett County Fugitives Unit teamed up with DeKalb County Police to arrest 31-year-old Michael Lomax. He is charged with aggravated child molestation. According to the arrest warrant, Lomax is accused of performing a sex act on a 13-year-old who he met on the social networking app Grindr. Michael Lomax worked as a jailer with the Gwinnett County Sheriff's Office for 2 years.
The Roswell councilman accused of child sex crimes has now resigned from city council. A city official announced that Kent Eigelhardt's resignation came Tuesday evening. DeKalb County Police say he engaged in sexual behavior with a 17-year-old girl. When he met her online, she was just 13. Over the years, investigators say Eigelhardt exchanged inappropriate messages and nude photos.
A showdown is brewing tonight among hundreds of angry, dissatisfied customers of DeKalb County's Department of Watershed Management.
And in some cases, we're talking about $100,000 water bills for service that used to cost $100 or less. Fox 5's George Franco caught up with a DeKalb County spokesperson. And George, what does the county say about this?
Well, Russ and Sine, DeKalb County officials say that they are working diligently to address these water bill problems one bill at a time, but that, they say, will take time, which is why it's likely this issue will be kicked into the next administration.
936, 1091, 757.
Those numbers are water bill amounts which have escalated dramatically in recent months for Isabel Baquet and her family in Decatur.
Every time that somebody opens the faucet, I'm like, turn that off, turn it off. I actually feel guilty about washing my face at night.
She's not alone. Last month, dozens packed a county meeting on suddenly skyrocketing water bills. Some had increases in the hundreds of dollars, others thousands. The county has since set up a dispute resolution team to individually study each overcharge and placed a moratorium on water disconnects until they get to the root of the problem.
It's anything from meter readers to the meters themselves to maybe there's an error in data entry. We're looking really across the board.
County spokeswoman Sarah Page says customers still must pay an average amount based on bills prior to problems. She told me the moratorium continues until the end of the year and is expected to be extended by a new administration, including a new CEO and 2 new board members after elections. Is it fair to kick the can down the road?
No, we're not kicking the can, that's for sure. I mean, we have instituted the dispute resolution process, the moratorium. We're working day in and day out.
What do you think about that?
That sounds very fishy.
Isabel Baquet would like to see action taken sooner by the current board.
I'm looking forward to seeing them all again.
Commissioner Nancy Gesture, who sponsored the last meeting, says it'll take time to fix all the problems, but she says she expects to get the job done with a new administration by early next year.
It is going to take time to get it right, and I would imagine that's going to go into the first quarter of next year. I believe that to be the case.
And Sarah Page with the county says there are about 185,000 residential water accounts, 185,000 customers, if you will. And she says about 900 of those are the bill disputes. Clearly a small fraction of the overall number, unless, of course, it's a big problem to you, the customer. Reporting live tonight in Decatur, I'm George Franco, Fox 5 News.
Less than a week now until Election Day. The polls continue to tighten as the presidential candidates travel from swing state to swing state campaigning.
Now, Donald Trump spent some time in Florida today while Hillary Clinton was out west campaigning. Meanwhile, here at home in Midtown, Libertarian candidate Gary Johnson spent the evening. He was rallying support from voters. Governor Johnson spoke to excited crowds at the Crown Plaza Atlanta on Peachtree Street tonight. He shared his views on immigration, saying that as a country, we should embrace immigration. He also spoke about why he believes Clinton and Trump are both unacceptable candidates for president. He called them flawed and predicted that libertarian candidates will become higher profile in the years ahead.
Well, Donald Trump is making a final push for voters in must-win Florida, making stops in Miami, Orlando, and Pensacola today. He's predicting victory during his rally in Pensacola and focusing on criticisms of the Affordable Care Act and the investigation into Clinton's private email server.
Meanwhile, Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton spent time in Las Vegas. Her campaign's push to get out and vote included events in North Carolina with President Barack Obama and in Florida with Vice President Joe Biden. Clinton canceled events in Iowa following 2 police officers who were gunned down there overnight. She's aiming her sights at policing and mental health. According to RealClearPolitics.com, Clinton is at an advantage in the polls, but only leading by less than 2 points against Trump.
Well, that is it for us tonight. But before we go, we want to tell you about one last thing. It's an uplifting story. Dozens of UGA students are walking the 75 miles from Atlanta to Athens this week to raise money and awareness for children living with HIV and AIDS.
Their 4-day torch walk began this morning at Centennial Olympic Park, and it's going to end on Saturday on campus with the UGA Heroes Olympics, featuring some of the athletes who competed at the Summer Games in Rio.
UGA Heroes provides mentoring, free summer camp, and fellowship to more than 500 Georgia children with HIV. If you're interested, I've posted more information on my Facebook page at Russ Spencer, Fox 5.
Great effort there. Well, goodbye for now. We invite you to tune in to Fox 5 News Edge at 11, which is coming up right after baseball.
And we'll see you on TV tomorrow at the normal time.